3 days to go before the three-figure billion-dollar cap companies begin to report earnings. Meanwhile, we're here with the breakdown. Markets closed mainly up on Friday as we await tonight's 10-year bond auction. Producer inflation in March surprised nicely with a 1% increase, double the expected. The Fed's Jerome Powell told CBS yesterday that the economy is at an inflection point, as he called it, with COVID vaccinations rolling out and hopefully the economy taking note. In Canada, unemployment is down 7 ticks to 7.5%, and the participation rate there is up a half. Meanwhile, about 100 CEOs are taking the fight for voter rights a step forward after Mitch McConnell told them last week to pay up and shut up. Most have agreed to reevaluate political donations based on voting rights track records of congressional members, and nearly half said they'd blacklist states that restrict voting access. European markets ended mixed last week. The FTSE down 1/3%, the DAX up 1/5. Still, it's their longest weekly winning streak in 16 months, according to Reuters. EU Trade Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis is proposing a 6-month extension of the tariffs the Union and the US have been hurling at each other. The sides agreed to hold tariffs for 4 months in March, and the Commission and England are reportedly approaching some kind of consensus in the increasingly burning Irish border problem. Deloitte reports that big business optimism in Britain is at a record high despite the cost of COVID this past year. This week, Bloomberg launches a 5-part series on the first 100 days of Brexit, comparing expectations to reality. Despite predictions of a 3.6% decline in income, 520,000 more people unemployed, and house prices down by 10%, the reality is the economy has actually risen by more than 3%, unemployment is down by 280K, and house prices are up by more than 7%, 6.5 year-on-year this past month alone. The cost of living is up, but that's because of a falling pound making exports expensive. And for example, in the financial sector, if PricewaterhouseCoopers predicted 100,000 lost jobs, in fact, only 7,500 roles have moved so far out of the City of London. Later today, retail sales from the EU and some short-term bill auctions in France. Asian benchmarks are down this morning, apprehensive about the upcoming earnings season and wondering if record high valuations have any meat to them in the US. Reuters also reports this morning that more and more Chinese startups are thinking twice about listing in the nation's new STAR and Chi-Next electronic exchanges, preferring Hong Kong as scrutiny tightens. This could become a problem as China begins taking steps to attract foreign company IPOs within its borders. Last month, the Ant Group's $37 billion IPO was cancelled at the last minute. Across the Straits, Japan's economy continues to claw its way up with a 1% year-on-year producer inflation index increase. That's after February's 0.5% decline, and wholesale prices are up for the first time in over a year. The dollar-yen pair saw the beginnings of a recovery as last week closed, but failed to get past the week's first support line. This week, if we judge by the pivots, we're into another bearish momentum, already beneath the weekly pivot, an indifferent RSI, and volumes falling off as Europe prepares to come awake. It's probably up to earnings to see if the money goes into equities this coming week or safe havens. Oil continues sliding after Friday's Baker Hughes count saw 2 additional rigs coming online last week. And Bitcoin is on the up again, above the 60K mark, as U.S. Treasury, Pentagon, state, and security officials finally begin assessing the possible damage an electronic yuan may have on the U.S. dollar. This morning, Zero Hedge's Tyler Durden reports that digital yuans, or renminbis, have expiration dates to encourage users to spend more money. Reuters this morning reports that Alibaba's CEO does not see any significant long-term harm coming from China's $2.75 billion fine on the company for allegedly abusing its market dominance. Shares were up by more than 9% Friday, and they're doing just as well this morning. Amazon workers in Alabama have decided not to unionize, pushing stocks up on Friday. And Apple has agreed to appear before a congressional hearing on App Store competition issues. That's it for today. I'm off tomorrow in preparation for this week's quarterly earnings reports. We'll be back again Wednesday. Bye.